Biggie, Munn, and Duffy Daughery joined Michigan State's coaching staff in 1947, and through the years, they would change Michigan State and the landscape of college football. As Michigan State's offensive line coach, Duffy Daughery recruited Don Coleman from Fleck, Michigan, who became Michigan State's first unanimous All-American in 1951 and was called by Biggie Munn the finest lineman to ever play for Michigan State. And shortly after Coleman graduated, Michigan State began to have national success in the 50s and 60s.
And in the late 40s, with Biggie Munn here, Michigan State brought in more black athletes who starred for Michigan State in its first Rose Bowl win. The first time a lot of people turned on the Rose Bowl and saw black players.
Michigan State won the 1954 Rose Bowl with Biggie Munn as the head coach, and then Duffy succeeded him and they won the 1956 Rose Bowl.
Michigan State not only had black players, but they had All-American black players scoring touchdowns in those Rose Bowls. And when the 60s rolled around, most teams were still following an unwritten rule and limiting black players to a half dozen or so, but Duffy Daughery was the first coach to ignore that. In the 1966 Game of the Century against Notre Dame, with 33 million people watching, the Spartans lined up 20 black players, 11 black starters, and 2 black team captains, while Notre Dame had 1 black player on their entire roster.
And he was the first major coach who didn't believe in stacking. Normally, when teams brought black athletes in, they'd put them all at the same position. So only one could start. And, you might have 6 black athletes on a roster grouped into 2 positions. Duffy said, we're going to put the best players, the best student athletes on the field to represent Michigan State. And all it did was yield national championships back-to-back in 65, 66.
That MSU team consisted of College Football Hall of Famers Bubba Smith, Clinton Jones, George Webster, and Gene Washington, who would all go on to be drafted within the first 8 picks of the 1967 NFL Draft.
And back in those days, there were only 3-4 black players taken anywhere in the first round. So Michigan State changed the face of the NFL, changed the face of college football, and then it changed the face of the NFL draft.
Duffy also took chances on undersized players such as Jimmy Ray, who would go on to become the first black starting quarterback from the South to win a national championship. By the late 1960s, after those national championship winning Michigan State teams, schools began to abandon the unwritten limitations as they began to realize that black players and white players could play together as teammates and follow the leadership of black players. Now today, every college football team in the country is fully integrated, but back in the 1960s, no one else had a fully integrated team like Michigan State. Honoring Black history for WLNS TV, I'm Anthony DeSilva.